So my husband Jim and I were going to have the best anniversary trip ever. Low bar. It was going to be our only anniversary trip since we had kids 5 years before. But let me clarify. We had had 3 kids in 5 years, and we co-slept with them. For those of you who don't know what co-sleeping is, it's basically when your kids sleep in bed with you and you have to go downstairs to the basement to fuck your husband. Even now, when Jim says he's going to the guest room, I get all titillated. So I knew this was going to be a great trip because we were going to get to screw above ground and out of the closet. Because, yes, we've done that too. And I gotta say, having sex out of the closet, so much better. But I wanted this trip to be really special because it was our 10th anniversary and because of a conversation we had had a few weeks before when Jim said, you know, babe, our wedding day was one of the happiest days of my life. And I had to say, you know, it wasn't really one of mine. I spent it mostly like sad and numb. You see, 5 years before we got married, my mom had died of cancer. And 5 years before that, my dad had died. And the thought of not having my parents there for my wedding, the thought of not having my mom there to fix my hair, or to have my dad there to hold my hand so tight as we walked down the aisle together, filled me with such sadness and longing that I thought that if I let any of those emotions in, I'd crumple to the ground in a ball of pink silk. And that's not good for wedding photos. So as I was telling Jim this, I'm like, babe, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I felt that way. And he's like, babe, don't be sorry. You know, it's totally okay. And we're going to have a great trip. Let's go to New Hampshire. We've never been there before. And let's climb Mount Washington the last day there. And this actually sounded good to me because Jim and I are really serious hikers. We've hiked mountains on 5 continents together. We actually got engaged on the Appalachian Trail. So it sounded like a great time. And actually it was, because New Hampshire in late May, Memorial Day weekend, which was when we got married, is beautiful. And the people are super nice, but distant in that flinty New England way. I mean, their license plates all say, live free or die. And some of their bumper stickers say, don't tread on me. But we didn't care, because back at the end, Jim and I were creating our own version of hiker porn, and I was like, come on, baby, tread on me. So we were having a good time, but the only problem is that the weather was getting worse and worse. And what we didn't know is that Mount Washington is known as having the world's worst weather. And in fact, the day we started hiking, it started snowing on May 31st. And we should have known something was up because we didn't see anybody else on the trail for 45 minutes, even though Mount Washington is one of New Hampshire's biggest tourist attractions. And the first people we see was this fit-looking older couple coming down the mountain. And they stopped us and they said, hey, you know, we just want to let you know that above the tree line, we had to turn around because, you know, there's nothing to protect you from the wind and it's a blizzard up there. And we thanked them and they went on their way, and I turned to Jim and I said, what do you think about that, babe? And he's like, oh, are you kidding? They're totally old. We can make it up the mountain, not them. And I'm like, yeah, they must be at least like 5, 6 years older than us. And Jim said, maybe 6. And the next guy we see coming down the mountain is this broad-shouldered, tall Japanese guy. I mean, and he's decked out in gear. He even has micro spikes on his feet. And he doesn't speak a lot of English, but, you know, he's motioning to us like, up, mountain, wind hard, very icy. And we go, oh, arigato. And he moves on, and Jim's like, oh, babe, what do you think about what he just said? And I'm like, what does he know? He doesn't even speak English. And Jim's like, oh, yeah, what do the Japanese know about mountain climbing anyways? We're going up. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I mean, they only have Mount Fuji, who's 12,288 feet tall, but what the hell do they know about mountain climbing? So we keep going, and at this point, we're about 3/4 of a mile from the summit, and there's a lodge there right before the tree line, and we decide to rest there. And as we go in, and there's trail volunteers who are opening up the lodge for the season. And when they hear that we never climbed the mountain before, one of them comes over and tries to give us some advice. And it's like this amiable stoner guy, and he's like, hey, just want to let you know that the trail's actually 50 feet out of the lodge, and you have to kind of stay to the left because there's a lake of the clouds to your right. And if you step the wrong way, you're gonna end up hip deep in water. Kind of hard to see with the whiteout conditions, but I'm sure you'll be fine. And then, 1/4 mile of the way up, you'll be on a ridge, and stay to your right then, because the winds are blowing 60 miles an hour, and if you fall, you'll go straight down. But, I'm sure if you're experienced winter hikers, you'll be fine. I had never hiked in the winter before, but I didn't tell him that. Jim's looking a little worried now, and he's like, well, babe, why don't I go out ahead of you for a couple minutes, and if I find the trail, we'll keep going to the summit, and if I can't find the trail, then we'll turn around. And I thought that was good. So he goes ahead, I wait a couple of minutes, put my gear on, and as soon as I get above that tree line, the wind hits me like a bitch slap. It is blowing so hard, the snow is going sideways into my face. It feels like BB pellets, and I wish I had some goggles and a face mask. And at that moment, I see Jim waving at me from out of the whiteout conditions. He's like, babe, I found the trail! I found the trail! And then there's a voice inside my head, like the badass part of me, let's face it, the guilty part of me, who's like, all right, Amy, I know you're scared, but you said that you were gonna give him the best anniversary trip ever, and the best anniversary trip includes summiting that mountain. So don't be a little bitch, put one foot in front of the other, and go to him. But then I heard another voice inside my head. This is the scared part of me. And the scared part is like, Amy, I know you haven't been looking forward to your 40th birthday later this year, but I don't think death is a good alternative to Botox. You want to live, right? You want to live to see these little wrinkles show up beneath your eyes. You want to live to see your children grow up. You want to live to see whether your youngest son ever gets over his love of fart jokes. And you know what? This is not 10 years ago where you spent all day really alone with your sadness and your feelings. You have had a decade with Jim filled with love and trust and compassion. And I know you want to tell him something, and you can do it. You can do it. Just tell him. So I raise my arm and I go, I'm done. I'm done. I can't go. Come back. And Jim nods his head, and we head down the trail, and I feel so bad. I go, you know what, babe, if you want to keep going to the summit, that's fine. I'll just turn around, and I'll meet you at the bottom. And Jim goes, babe, oh my God, I would never leave you in a blizzard to chase after some summit. That would be such a dick thing to do. And I go, but doesn't the dick part of you, doesn't the dick part of your heart really want to go up to the top? And he's like, yeah, I guess the dick part of my heart wants to get to the top of the mountain, but I want to be with you more. And this weekend's about us. And you have been worried all weekend about telling me about being numb the day of our wedding. But hey, look on the bright side. By telling us to turn around, you have probably saved us from freezing to death.